Morning, River Point. Love you guys. Happy Sunday to you. Our topic for today is rest, and I've chosen to pretty much write everything down because I wanted to be very precise in sharing with you guys today. Today's not really a sermon or a teaching, not really a devotional either, I don't guess, but it is kind of a personal message from me to you. And I pray that you'll take it and listen and pray and meditate and ponder. Okay? And so we'll begin. In Genesis chapter 1, we read the creation account. And we see how God worked for 6 days, creating and filling and molding and shaping. And then God does something profound. He rests. If God can rest, then maybe we can too. Think about how the Israelites felt toward rest. I'm sure they longed for it, but felt that it was something impossible to get. For years, 70 plus years, their entire race was in slavery. Their entire lives were measured by production and filling and quotas that never ended. Day after day, week after week, year after year, and no rest. They were physically and mentally, spiritually and emotionally spent, exhausted. Can you relate? Does that ring a bell? Does it sound familiar? We are busy people. We are scheduled to the max, and mostly by our own choosing. The Israelites were forced into slavery, and we, on the other hand, have volunteered. We look into the mirror only to see the one cracking the whip staring back at us, urging us to do more and more and more. And that message is echoed monthly in the bills, the sales, the reports, the advertisements, and the meetings. Like the Israelites, maybe we yearn for rest too, but it seems unattainable. Rest is what our bodies and our souls need. And God has given us an opportunity with this great pause to learn to rest. The world has come to a screeching halt, a great pause, a sabbatical of sorts, a time to rest, to reflect, and perhaps even reset. When things open back up for us and we get back into the full swing, will you have gone through this and not learned the invaluable lesson, which is to rest? Don't waste it. Don't miss this opportunity. Psalm 46 says, "Be still and know that I am God." Jesus himself said, "Come unto me, all who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest." We see in the book of Exodus chapter 20, verses 8 through 11, I think an ideal model for life. A way in which we can live our lives for our good and our benefit, but most of all, for God's glory. So in thinking in terms of rest and drawing from God's modeled plan that He Himself used in creation, listen to the words of Exodus 20, verses 8 through 11. God says, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. In other words, embrace the Sabbath day. Remember the Sabbath day. Incorporate, be intentional, be focused on the Sabbath day and keep it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the seventh day is a Sabbath of the Lord your God, and in it you shall not do any work, you or your son or your daughter, your male or your female servant, or your cattle, or your sojourner who stays with you. For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth, the sea and all that is in them, and rested on the seventh day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day, and He made it holy. And so I think simply we see God's ideal model for life that He Himself used and He has set up for us to follow. That same pattern is simply this: work and rest. Work and rest. And on that day of rest, that Sabbath day, we not only are to rest our bodies physically and our minds emotionally, but we are to put our attention toward God and honor Him and worship Him and thank Him and celebrate who He is and what He has done and what He is doing in our lives. And we do this, again, for our good and for His glory. And so let me end with this. Here's the $1 million question. When this great pause ends and we are on the other side of it, will you go back to the way things were? You have the power to choose, to decide what you allow back into your life. I pray that you choose rest, that I choose rest, and that we choose rest. Love you guys. And now here's Jensen with a song.
Worthy of every song we could ever sing, worthy of all the praise we could ever breathe, worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you, Jesus, the name above every other name. in yours and rolls around me. There is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder. Show me who you are.